Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Casual. For those who are new here, we are so glad to have you here today. We are here with another monthly wrap up. We're gonna keep this one brief because your girl's got a migraine. I take injectable medication every month and it's been going okay. I think I've had less migraines. However, the first couple days after taking it, I feel like hot garbage. So, this was definitely a more gaming heavy month, and we had some like life stuff going on, stuff to do with our house. It was a lot of like labor outside of my office as well. So I only read 8 books. I got partially through another one, also through an audiobook, but didn't finish it. So didn't make the cut this month. However, of the books that we did read, we had some really high highs and we had some really low lows. So the first book that we read was Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, or Monaghan. I don't know which one it is. I have now read everything she's ever written, and literally all 3 have been 4.5 stars. This story was another single mom to several kids whose husband leaves her and then finds a man and kind of like refines who she is as a person, and you know, her life is better from there. So it was a little bit, well, it was a lot of bit like Nora Goes Off Script. However, I still really liked it, and this one literally made me cry. There was something that happens, that physical tears, and my husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." That was a great way to start the month off. Next in the month, I kind of did a Summerween light. So I kind of picked books that would fit multiple prompts. So I kind of finished it, but I only read like 2 or 3 books that would actually like fit with it. So, and I did it a little bit after, so I didn't really like make a video about it or anything. My only Summerween content that I did make was the recommendations video, which you are more than welcome to watch. To start that off, I read Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I unfortunately knew some spoilers throughout the book, and that kind of took a lot of the hit out of it. I know a lot of people really hate him and this book specifically, but without going into it with any kind of prejudice, I thought it was very surprising, and the twists that it took were pretty good. So I gave it a 4 stars. It wasn't, like, 4 stars for me are, that was good. Maybe wasn't anything crazy, but I had a good time. It kept me reading. To continue on the horror suspense, you know, side of things, I read Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh, I think is how you say. This book was not for me. I gave it a 2 stars. It had such an unlikable character. She has to be on some kind of like sociopathy spectrum. The decisions that she makes and the reasons that she does things are just so off-putting. The entire book was just like, it just made me feel gross after reading it. And I've read some crazy shit. And the fact that nothing happened. Nothing happened until the last like 25% of the book. It's like reading what would be the start of like a serial killer, and something that had no like sympathy or empathy or any feelings towards anyone at all, other than how they made her feel and what they could do for her. So it was just really odd and gross, and I am definitely questioning if I want to read anything else by this author in the future. Next, to kind of switch gears but stay in the dark mood, I read Diavola, which is Italian for devil. I didn't know that going in. By Jennifer Thorne. I really liked this book. I thought it was very millennial coded. Some of the phrases that she uses, like nope as a verb, like I'm gonna nope out of a room, like that kind of thing, which I really appreciated, but Gen Z or like a Gen X or a Boomer kind of audience might not appreciate appreciate that as much. I really liked it. One of the twists was very obvious up front, but seeing it come to fruition was very satisfying. And this was one of those books I had to talk to my husband about because it was so inventive and I really liked it a lot. I gave it a 4 stars, but it really could edge towards 4.5 category. I really liked it. If you like a haunted house, like spirits in the walls type book, definitely recommend this one. Next, I wanted to switch it up. Stay in dark mood, but go more romance on it. So I read Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. I gave this a 4.5. I started out reading it physically, and then I moved to the audiobook because I know that the main guy characters in this whole series are Irish, or they have a little bit of an accent, and ooh buddy, did that make it better. Both of the narrators definitely played into it, and they didn't just read it. They were acting, baby. They were going in. This was their performance, you know what I mean? And I really, really liked that part. Some of the more spicy scenes got a little bit odd to hear when you're putting on that much of a performance, but they moved pretty fast. I gave it a 4.5. I like this better than the first one, and I will die on that hill. I think that Lachlan as a character has a much more deep storyline and why he does things and the motivations behind his actions and why he thinks about Lark the way that he does. This is a marriage of convenience, which makes sense but doesn't make sense. It's a bit extreme as to why they got married, but it does make sense. And the third act conflict, it wasn't really between them. It was something that happened that pulled her away from him. And I was very oh my god, what's gonna happen? I was on the edge of my seat and I really liked it, and I haven't felt that way about it in a while. However, there were some kind of cringy things that were said, and he was a little too passive sometimes with their, romance and trying to be with her as a person. And so that's what kept it out of 5-star territory. However, I really, really liked it. I hope that I like the third book in this series just as much. Next, I wanted to switch it up totally and go fantasy, but I really wanted to keep my romance train a-rolling. So next we read A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I actually have this book physically, however, it's on the very top of a bookshelf right now, so it's gonna stay up there. Otherwise, none of the books I read I own physically. They were either library books or digitally on my Kindle, or, like I said, an audiobook earlier. Light in the Flame, we're continuing on with Ash and Seraphina's story. This is the prequel series, companion series to the From Blood and Ash series. I, right now, am more invested in these characters' stories than I am in the original series. I don't know if that has to do because the way that the reading order goes, you kind of do a chunk of one and then a chunk of the other. So it's just, recency bias. The next book I have, and then the final book in this series comes out at the end of August. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I gave this a 4 stars. I really liked it. However, it still weirds me out when there's modern language in a historical book, like a fiction like this. So the phrases that they choose, you do you, that kind of thing, inside of such a high stakes fantasy setting. So I don't know what that means about reading the ACOTAR series, if I'm gonna like that or dislike that. I don't know anything about them other than what you see online. That really does throw me out of it, but I still really, really like them. They do take me longer to read because they're 600 pages long. I think this one was close to 700 pages, and it just was a lot to read. But I really liked it, so 4 stars. Next, I read a controversial pick. So, I read Hyde by Kirsten White. Most people really don't like this book. However, I did. This book got a 4 stars for me. If you like B-rated horror movies, you will like this book. You know shit's going down from the get. I did like the fact that they roll up to this town, and the way that the townspeople treat them, you know that something's gonna happen that's gonna be bad, and they just don't see it, but you see it. Like, in the background. This is about a hide-and-seek competition in which there are 14 competitors, and they have to last 7 days inside an abandoned amusement park, and whoever is last wins a prize money. You get to be in the head of every single competitor, and that can get kind of confusing. However, it becomes pretty clear up front which ones are important and which ones aren't. So you kind of know, you know, which cheerleader or which jock is going to die first type thing. Like in a B-rated horror movie, you know which ones. You know what's the final girl, and you know what's not. And you know what's filler characters. And that's very obvious in this book as well. Because the main character only cares to get to know about 2 or 3. So we as the reader only care to get to know about 2 or 3. So it is confusing at the very, very, very beginning, but then it kind of settles itself out throughout. It does have a very similar vibe to Mr. Magic, which is her other book that I gave 5 stars. I didn't give this one a 5 stars because the similarities were too high. The similarities were very high, and also I think it was done less well. Like, it was very debut novel vibes. And then the last book that we read was the last book that we finished. There was an audiobook in between. The last book that we finished is called Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. Another author that I don't think I'm gonna be reading anything else. I tried to read The Pallbearers Club by him last year. I just hate his main characters with such a passion. They're so pretentious and dislikable, and they like hide things from the reader just so you can be like interested in reading their book or their journal or whatever. The first Pallbearers Club had a journal. This one had an audiobook that might go to print, which is so backwards. I've never heard of that before, of where it's just an audiobook and it's not a printed book. Wouldn't you have to write the book to read it? You know? Like, that was kind of odd, but that's an aside that maybe I just don't know. It was trying to be so symbolic and deep and mysterious that it got lost along the way, and nothing landed for me, and I had no clue what was important and why we gave 2 shits about this guy or this movie or what he did at these conventions or the fact that he's sad about these people that died. Like, I could not give 2 shits about this guy. He gave me the heebie-jeebies, which I guess was the point, but it still was just like, if I saw you on the street, I would run the other way so fast. Because I know that you are going to pull me aside and tell me and mansplain to me about all this stuff to do with movies and why my taste is awful and why you know everything and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was the vibe I got, and that's just not a fun reading experience for me. So I gave it 2 stars. I really don't know about reading anything else by him because it was basically copy and paste the same main character to its own detriment. But anyway, that is it for the month of July. We're now in August. Summer is still so hot here in the South, but I really want fall, like, so badly. I do. We're almost there, ladies. We're almost there. It's almost pumpkin spice, everything, season, whatever. I just want to put out my decorations, and I want to be able to breathe outside without dying in the humidity. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you all sticking around for these monthly wrap-ups. I'm trying to release at least 1 video a week, whether that be on a Tuesday or a Friday. Let me know down in the comments if you would like more book content or gaming content or lifestyle content or whatever. Whatever you'd like to see, any books you'd like me to read, any games you'd like me to play, put down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you like the video. Simple. And it helps the algorithm so much with putting my videos out there, and that would be so appreciated. I love you all. See you in the next one, and happy reading!